There it is.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. We call this bad boy our Thanksgiving special, and that's what it is. And I am pleased to be joined. Welcome back, Jeremy Ballrick.
Good to be here.
Glad to have you. And George Eichhorn, I'll have to say welcome back to you. You're here all the time, anyways. Good stuff.
Good to be on here, Scott and guys.
And we have our resident running back, former player Mel Farr Jr.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And last but not least, football talk with Bo. Bo knows football and probably a whole lot more than we even realize. So, but Bo, thanks for being on tonight. I know you had a few challenges earlier, but if I were betting my money on anybody, there's no doubt in my mind you were going to make this show no matter what. Those that aren't here are probably on the verge of taking care of Thanksgiving, and we want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. So just let everybody know that Inside the Pigskin is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Inside the Pigskin can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're always looking to add more subscribers. We know that we're confident in our content. So whether you like football, baseball, or whatever, I know it's worth the sub because I work really hard to find the best talent that I can. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. One way to do it is through the chat room or send your topic ideas to South Florida Tribune at gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. Our Twitter/X is at Tribune South. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes, and she's even in the chat room. I'll be goodness, okay? And I have a new book out here called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. Here it is. You can find it on Amazon as well as Kindle. With that said, we have a lot to get to today, and we're going to start out in Pittsburgh. Probably the worst kept secret on the planet that became a reality. Offensive coach at Canada has been fired from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh has been outgained by opponents in all 10 of their games. And Pittsburgh's offense ranked 28th in scoring during Canada's run, and that's what led to the termination. And this termination marks the first time that he has made, the franchise has made, an in-season coaching change since 1941. 1941, that's the year my mother was born. According to ESPN's Paul Hembekide, running back coach Eddie Faulkner will be in charge of coordinating the Steelers' offense. QB coach Mike Sullivan will handle the bulk of the play calling duties, according to head coach Mike Tomlin. With that said, Jeremy, give me your takes on that.
Well, Matt Canada, the way he ran that offense, it looked like he stole Matt Nagy's Tecmo Bowl playbook and just would do sweep left, sweep right, halfback dive, screen pass left, screen pass right, slants, and then Hail Mary and pray to God that Kenny Pickett can hit somebody downfield. I mean, he needed to go. It's been that game, I said when it came out, it was a race to 15. The first team that scored 15 would win that game. And I didn't think it would be the Steelers.
No kidding. Okay. All right. We'll turn over to George.
Well, I know that there was some speculation in the media that possibly the owner made the change, but I see tonight Tomlin has said he did make the change. But earlier, I know there was some speculation that the owner stepped in. Either way, it doesn't surprise me, only because, like you said, Jeremy, that offense has been sputtering. Pickett is not having a good season. The offensive line is not having a good season. The play calling is very suspect, unimaginable. And it's just not a good team right now. The Steelers are not a good team. They are scoring less and not playing enough talent wise. I mean, to beat these teams. Cleveland, on the other hand, played a pretty damn good game, and they're ahead of them now on the standings, of course, in that division. But Canada, you'll be looking for another job. Huh? Good luck.
Yeah, believe it or not, I still find it hard to believe the Steelers are 6-4. But the reason why Cleveland is 7-3, a lot of people can credit defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz. Everywhere he goes, he turns up masterful defenses.
Yes, yeah, true.
He's done with that. The Browns. Okay, Mel.
Yeah, it seems like this is 10 games in a season too late. I mean, these are the same things we were talking about last year with Matt Canada. A lot of people weren't happy with him last year. And this year, he's getting more of the same. And, Mike Tomlin, I know he came out and said it's his decision. But, I mean, when you make one of those kind of decisions during this time of the season, particularly given the fact that this is something that they generally do not do, I think you got to run it by, the owner without question and get his blessing. And, whether it came from upstairs or not, it doesn't really matter. It's something that needed to come from upstairs. If it did, it needed to come from upstairs in the offseason, because this offense last year was very anemic, and this year is more of the same. They've had some good offensive coordinators there. Mike Tomlin has had some good offensive coordinators, as a matter of fact. Bruce Arians was there, and he parted company with Bruce Arians. Todd Haley was there, and they parted company with Todd Haley. They've had some decent offensive coordinators over there. But this guy here, I mean, he's terrible, man. That offense was Pop Warner like, and there's just no imagination whatsoever. Not really taking advantage of the guys that he has available to him. We know he's got two good running backs there, a good wide receiver, some tight ends, and they got a quarterback. I'm not too sure on right now. I think the jury's still out on the quarterback, but we'll see.
Right. Well, before I turn it over to Bo, I still think the most fascinating dynamic of this, and we know how the Steelers are loyal to their people, but to think this is the first time that they've had an in-season change since 1941, to me speaks volumes. I've never seen a franchise more loyal as we are with the Steelers. Okay, Bo, take it from there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with Mel. Like this is something that should have happened last year. Canada looks like he's using the football for dummies as a playbook. He just doesn't really use his guys very effectively. And really, that defense is the only reason they have a winning record. I mean, they've won in spite of their offense. And obviously, if you did get into the playoffs, you're immediately going to get bounced because your offense has to score. But, at the end of the day, this had to happen. It should have happened before the season started.
Okay, very good. We'll enjoy the comments all the way around. But you know what? We're going to stay on the Canadian theme, because last week, at least most of us here, there were others that made predictions about last week's 110th Grey Cup. Yes! And the Montreal Alouettes defeated the Winnipeg Blue Bombers by a score of 28-25. Now,
Is that who I
Jeremy,
picked?
what's that?
Is that who I picked? I don't.
I think you did. I think you did get that one right.
I picked Montreal. I think Mel. I think you and I both had them. Yeah,
Well, and I had them too.
you did.
We got to run back the tape.
So I was the Lone Ranger taking the team that looked like
No.
I think we're going to throw the challenge flag on that one, Scott. We're going to throw the challenge flag on that.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, Brolin Dennis, good riddance, Canada. Well,
Braylon.
I'm sorry. There you go, pal. And glad to have you on here tonight. Well, you won't have to worry about the league anymore. And I don't know what kind of pageantry they had at the Grey Cup, but nothing like what you're going to get at the Super Bowl. But we all know that the Grey Cup is around Thanksgiving time anyways. But thanks, Braylon, for contributing. We appreciate you. We're happy to have you in the broadcast. Okay. So we encourage more and more people to get involved. With that said, okay, Jeremy, let's just use a hypothetical, and that you didn't see this score, okay? Because I got to keep it real for you. Since who would you have picked in here?
I was picking Montreal.
Oh, were you?
I was happy to see they won. They're a good franchise in the Canadian Football League. They're well coached. They play decent ball. I mean, the only thing I hate about Canadian football is it's 5 yards wider and 10 yards longer than an American football field.
Hey, by the way, Braylon, just food for thought here. If you have an opportunity, if you haven't already subscribed, we would appreciate it. And then, if there's a possibility we can bring on a show, we'd definitely be able to do it. We have some possibilities.
He's one of my subs. I'll give him a link.
There you go. All right, you go through Jeremy, and then we'd be more than happy to go ahead and bring on Fire Up with Jeremy. How's that sound on Thursday night at 9? And here's one of my favorite Thanksgivings out there, and one that we'll be doing a show with in the not so distant future. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Jennifer. Appreciate you very much. Once I get back from Wisconsin, you're on speed dial anyways. You and I and Mel are going to go back, and we're going to talk about some more stuff. So, Jen, thanks a lot for being on tonight. Very much appreciated, and I hope you have a great Thanksgiving with your family as well. I really enjoy a nice, lively chat. I really do. This is what drives us and drives our energy. So, all right. So, obviously, the Canadian Football League being what it is, but when you talk about the fact that you have the Canadian Football League, we can't lose sight of a lot of the great players, though, that went from the Canadian Football League over to the National Football League. I guess one of my favorites will always be Warren Moon. Do you guys have any other ones that come to mind?
Well, yeah, I mean, Damon Allen, and then I have a cousin who is George Reed. He just passed. I want to say he just passed in the summer. He's one of the all-time greats in Canada. George Reed, look him up. Got a statue. Played for Edmonton. Well, Ottawa, I believe. One of the all-time greats. Look him up, George Reed.
I mean, Flutie.
Yeah, got to put Doug Flutie in there.
Oh yeah, what a great career he had in the CFL.
Absolutely.
Oh gosh, yes. But more Moon, yeah.
Well, we'll put Jennifer up here. She says, love the show. Maybe one of these days, Jen will bring you on Inside the Pigskin with the right crew. Think about it, and we'll talk about it at a later date. I'm sure this will give us a nice perspective. So I love the ideas, especially when I'm going on a long drive over the weekend to Wisconsin, because when I get in the road, I do a lot of my deep thinking there. So, and now there's a guy who I don't know how many people are aware of him, but Jim Kelly's nephew named Chip Kelly seems to be doing real well, I believe, with the Toronto Argonauts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he played with Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
Is he? I don't know. I'll look it up, but Chip Kelly is making the Kelly name proud north of the border. So, all right.
Yeah, I want to say he has like the all-time rushing record or something like that. All football. I mean, the guy is a beast.
I don't know. I'll tell you what, though, a lot of times that you're going to find that guys don't make it in the NFL, find life very nice north of the border, and they're doing really well. So I'm sure that eventually, I would like to get another Canadian Football League guest at some point, but right now we have more than our hands full with what we have here on the network. So with that said, okay, now we're going to talk about the one thing that I hate talking about it because I hear too much of it on the national networks, but as all qualified journalists that we are, that believe that we want to make sure we get it right and talk about what we have to. New York Jets quarterback Zach Wilson has been demoted to QB3. Tim Boyle now is QB1. Trevor Siemian QB2. New York does host the Dolphins on Black Friday. All right, Jeremy, I know you're chomping at the bit to talk about this one.
How do they expect to win with Tim Boyle?
Right.
He was a boil on the Lions' arse for a couple of years. Gosh, it's confounding that this guy still has a job in the NFL and not sitting on a practice squad or collecting an unenjoyment check somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, I was surprised that he made him the starting quarterback. I didn't think his body of work in Detroit was that really good.
I would have started the fat fan that had the J for the JETS on his chest over Tim Boyle.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. You've got
I
me
can't.
speechless there. All right, George, get me speechful again.
Well, Zach Wilson, he cannot be the quarterback any longer. It's obvious that his talent level and his acceptance is gone. The fans are on him. The media is on him in New York. I think it would be best for them to let him go and move on to a team. Some other team might be out there would want him. As far as Boyle goes, I don't see anything being helped by that. I really don't. I mean, he hasn't played much in the few years that he's been around, especially with the Lions. He didn't play hardly at all. And he's got limited qualities. It's just a bad situation there. Now, of course, they're waiting for Rodgers to come back. And if Rodgers does return, supposedly maybe in a few weeks, then obviously the focus will be on him. But as far as Zach Wilson goes, it's over. I mean, the New York media and the fans, they don't want him. Nobody does over there. So I'd let the kid get a chance somewhere else. But again, the seat is being kept open for Rodgers. That's the important thing as far as the Jets go. Hopefully they'll get him back, but we don't know what kind of condition he's going to be in. We don't know how he's going to recover from the injury either. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. But um, I wish Tim Boyle good luck.
Turn over to
He's
you,
going to
Mel.
need it. He's going to
I
need
mean,
it.
they have a better chance of winning with Tim Boyle than they do with Zach Wilson. I mean, we've seen what he is. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that he was a second overall pick, I mean, he'd be, just like us. He'd be sitting on the couch and he'd be talking about games just like we are. Um, it's baffling to me, and I guess I understand because they feel that they're a team that was a contender, and they felt that when they went out and got Aaron Rodgers, that was a missing piece to the puzzle. But I would take a flyer on a young kid, but I understand that they still think that they're in the hunt. A guy like Adrian Martinez, what we saw in Lions camp that performed pretty well. It amazes me that they didn't have a young guy in camp that they say, okay, well, maybe we can develop this guy. Let's see what this guy can do. Maybe he can provide a spark. I mean, there's a lot of good college quarterbacks. As opposed to having these retreads. We know who Tim Boyle is. We know who Trevor Simeon is. We know. Let's see something that we don't know anything about and give them an opportunity and see what they can do, and hopefully they can get the ship right. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I don't know why he would come back. I don't care if they're in the hunt or not. I mean, with that porous offensive line, I mean, he's going to end up right back in the same situation, and particularly if he comes back too early. I mean, those Achilles, that used to be a year minimum, and a lot of guys didn't come back. I mean, that was a career killer for a lot of guys. When you got the Achilles, you're done. I mean, I was like, if you're a horse, they take you out to pasture and put you to sleep. That was it. That was a done deal. I mean, there's no you go out to pasture and you become a stud or anything like that. No, you're done. And he has to be very careful with that. Now I know some guys have come back pretty quickly. I remember Terrell Suggs tore his Achilles playing basketball or something like that, doing something that wasn't related to football, and he came back probably about 6 months, and I was really surprised about that. So anything is possible. We'll see. But I'd like to see a young kid. I would have liked to see him give a young kid an opportunity. It's going to give you some spark, maybe run around a little bit, provide some spark, some energy, because that team right now is deflated.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, so the problem with this situation is you knew who Zach was last year. I mean, you saw what he was able to produce. It's why he got benched. And so you go and you get Rodgers, you bring him in, right? And if his injury would have happened later in the year, then maybe you take a flyer on Zach, right? You're like, okay, he has a mentor. He's been able to watch this from the sideline, see how it's supposed to be played, how to break down a play, read the defense, whatever, right? But he gets hurt on the 5th snap of the game. There's nothing that Zach is going to glean from 4 snaps, right? So at that point, sure, you put him out there because you don't have another option for the first couple of games. But that's where, I thought they probably should have went after a guy like Carson Wentz, right? Who, again, isn't elite or anything like that. But what he is a 3,500 yard a year quarterback, a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio type of QB. With this defense, you're in the playoffs. Instead, you bring out a Zach Wilson that you know what the product is. It's terrible. We've seen it's terrible. They knew it was terrible before the season started. So it didn't make any sense for them to wait until this point to.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
We get your
Well,
point. Thanks, Bo.
Now, I should point out, since I did a little research, Chad.
And, oh, sorry, guys.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead. You finish your thought.
Yeah, sorry, it looked like my signal dropped there. But to Mel's point, it just because he was a high draft pick, he's going to get multiple tries because they don't want to be wrong. But at this point, I feel like you have to move on.
Now, I did do a little research. The guy that I'm talking about is Chad Kelly, and he does play for the Toronto Argonauts. Jim Kelly, I think he's his nephew.
It's his nephew.
Yeah, you got me thinking. It's Chad Kelly, but we'll get to the other Kelly in a moment. All right, Jeremy, go to the. I want you to go ahead and start reading some chats.
Absolutely. I think Jets bought the farm just like the Rams, and both have imploded.
Yeah, but the Rams got a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I know what he's saying though. And then he talked about Aaron Rodgers and his ankle. Good drugs make you numb.
If your Achilles is not attached, it doesn't matter what kind of drug.
Let me tell you,
you can't move.
I can appreciate good drugs making me numb. Over the last month or so, I've needed enough of them to do exactly that. So,
yeah, you have.
I'll leave it at that. Okay.
I don't know about that, Candy.
George Mellon.
She must have went back and looked at. She must have went back and looked at the tape. I don't know about that.
Yeah, you called for the replay. She went and checked it.
Yeah, she did. I tell you, she does incredible work here. Behind the scenes, all right, Jeremy, keep it rolling.
Zach is whack. Daniel Jones too, who got paid outrageously. Absolutely.
Now, I will say one thing about Zach Wilson. I'm not defending the guy, but I saw him play in a bowl game here in Boca Raton, and I'm going to tell you right now, he's made the Central Florida Knights, who I don't like because I'm a USF Bull. There's that I-4 rivalry, and he shredded them like a paper shredder is what he did. Unfortunately, that his talent level hasn't carried over. But you got to remember, though, to his defense, he's gone through an awful lot of offensive coordinators, too. I don't care how many quarterbacks you have out there. You better have a good head coach and an offensive coordinator and a consistent system. And he hasn't had the benefit of that. We'll stay in the chat room.
I mean, that's fair because Nathaniel Hackett, I mean, look how he made Russell Wilson look last year. So
right.
That's
yeah.
fair.
But at the same time, Nathaniel Hackett was brought in because they planned on trading for Aaron Rodgers in the first place.
Right.
And it looks like that's the type of offensive coordinator or quarterback that OC is calling plays for. And Zach Wilson, he played well at Boca Raton because that place is full of MILFs.
Okay. All right. Another one in the chat room. Patty Grimes, what's up? We're up, and your comment is listed on the visual side. Thanks very much for chiming in, Patty. We appreciate you. And let's see. Patty's now on a roll, so we're going to keep it going. Have you seen the Jets' offensive line? It's not just Zach Wilson's fault. 50-50. You know what? I'll say this, and everybody else can address it. Patty, you just hit a bullseye with that comment.
Yeah, I mean, their O-line is ranked in the bottom 10 of the league. There's a reason for that because they kind of blow at quarterback protection. They do fine in the run game. It's the pass protection they're not given. Every other pass that Zach Wilson's throwing, someone's in his face.
I mean, there was a reason Darnold was seeing ghosts, right?
Yeah, right. No, that's another good point.
Wait, Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts because, never mind. I'm not going to.
Offensive line.
No, but you know what?
Got a good offensive line in a long time.
Jeremy, with all due respect, Bo's really got it right. You know, it wouldn't matter who you stick back there. Sam Darnold, everybody wrote him off.
Yeah, but like a guy like Tom Brady, he makes the offensive line look better than what they really are. I mean, you get the ball out. If your offensive line is porous, that means you got to get the ball out quick. That means you can't hold on to the ball. 3, 4, 5 seconds. You don't have 3 or 4 or 5, 6 seconds.
That's true.
You got 2 point some odd seconds, and you better be deliberate and know where you're going with the football and get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why his top guys were Amendola and Edelman, because they were dudes that could get out and get separation immediately.
Right. Or you got to, you're running for your life. You got to figure out how to scramble and run for your life.
So, I mean, those that go play quarterback for New York, it seems like the easiest scapegoat happens to be the QB.
No, he's bad. That's not a scapegoat. He's bad.
Well,
It's
I
just
don't know.
called
Are you going to sit here? Well, here, Mel, hold on. Let me challenge you on this one, okay?
Sure.
And I'm really going to challenge you now,
Go right
okay?
ahead.
Yeah, I have no problem doing it, okay? Once upon a time, Jim Plunkett stuck with the New England Patriots. How did it work when he got with the Raiders and won a Super Bowl or two? There's nothing wrong with a change of scenery, pal, along with a coach at all. So yeah, right now, has he underperformed? Sure, but when you consider what he's got to work with, an offensive line made out of paper mache, okay, to me that's bad. And it's not like there's a trend here where you just draft a quarterback, draft another one, and they all go bad in 2 or 3 years. That constitutes as a major mistake, is what it is. So,
But that's what all the teams do. And Tom Brady talked about it today. There's no player development.
Right.
There are no programs in college anymore. They said there's a lot of colleges, but there's no programs anymore. There's nobody developing the talent. So when the players get to the NFL, they don't have the same skills that guys had back yonder. I know when I came out of UCLA, we are very far ahead as far as a lot of the other schools, other players from other schools, as far as pass protection, understanding defenses, understanding how defenses work and all that kind of stuff. A lot of guys weren't being taught the way that we were being taught. I mean, we had to know that stuff. And these guys, they aren't being asked to know that because I think, at a lot of the programs, because the coaches have to, kind of have to kiss their behinds, worried about them hitting the transfer portal if you coach them too hard.
Well, here, Patty comes up with another. We can, if this is true, whenever Aaron Rodgers come back. And the only thing I'll say, Patty, I'm sure the other panelists might agree, if Aaron Rodgers comes back, he's in trouble. I mean, you only come back if they're contending. I think Aaron Rodgers is better off waiting until 2024.
The last time we saw Aaron Rodgers, he didn't look very good.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember the last time we saw him?
Yeah.
That was Detroit was playing him up there in Green Bay. He didn't look very good. So you can't say he's a savior.
I'm going to say right now, his last completed pass to the NFL was to the wrong jersey in the name of Kirby Joseph.
Yeah, I kind of figured of all people that would
Is
remember.
that a fact?
Aaron
It
Rodgers,
is a fact.
Aaron Rodgers wasn't
He didn't
across.
complete
He's
one.
not
He
the
didn't
savior.
get one completion when he was in that first game with the Jets.
No, it was 4 snaps. 3 of them are running. He went back. He gets sacked.
Yeah.
And his Achilles snapped at the same time. So technically 5
I knew
snaps.
it was the first series, but I did not know he did not complete a single pass there.
Listen, George, you're talking to kneecap biting here. This guy, if you read his stories, they may not be long, but they're good. And he piles a lot of facts in just a matter of a few paragraphs, this guy. If there's anybody that knows how to keep it simple, stupid, Ballrick is definitely one of those. And yet
well, I got to keep it short. The memory don't last till the end of the article.
Oh, I'm sure it doesn't. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, though, there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to write a novel anymore. Just get your point in there and go from there. And, again, the main thing that I tell people all the time in journalism is you don't have to write a novel. You can write longer stories if you have to, if the content goes out there and enables you to do that. But there's nothing wrong with a simple story. In fact, people will do, as I don't know about you, Bo, but they tend to read shorter articles because everybody talks about the old lesson, right? That longer shows you wonder about the time frame, right? And then people will tune off. Well, I'll tell you what, you have a short story. People will be more than happy you built a following through your journalism. And I like writing shorter stories. And there's other ways that we can make them longer without having it do the typing word. Well, one of these days I'll bring out some stuff on my book. And that might be an educational tool down the road, but with all due respect, this guy writes pretty well. Nobody has to write a long journal; they really don't. So with that said, I have a topic right now, which is only for Mal Farr, and I'm sure he knows it's only one for him. The last Pac-12 meeting between USC and UCLA took place over the weekend. UCLA won it 38-20 over USC at the LA Coliseum. So, first of all, Mel, why don't you go ahead and give me your thoughts on the game, and then we'll follow up on that. Is Chip Kelly's job safe first? And right now, the Bruins are 7-4 and USC 7-5. But you know what? Before you do that, what I want to do is once again acknowledge Patty. Keep it short, get to the point, and get your info out there and make it good. Well, that's a bullseye times 10 there, Patty. Thank you. All right, Mel.
Yeah, well, USC is not a very good football team, and they showed that. UCLA is an okay football team. They're not a great football team, but USC is a very poor football team, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. They put a lot on Caleb Williams. I think Lincoln Riley did. And, if he continues to put that kind of product out there, and especially on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to run him out of LA. He can't have that same type of defense. Not that I care. I hope he does. But for his sake and the folks at USC, he can't put that type of product out there when they go to the Big Ten because, guys like Michigan, they won't need to throw the entire game. They'll just run it down their throats the entire game. Poor Caleb, he was running around for his life. Back there, UCLA was getting back there, getting to the quarterback. He was, sometimes he looked like Houdini. I don't know how he was able to escape that pass rush, but he's an extremely athletic kid, but they put a lot on him. They don't run the football, and they don't stop the run, and they don't play defense. Very happy to see it. We should have won by 2 or 3 more touchdowns. We left some points out there because, I was a little worried because there were some missed opportunities there with some overthrows, a turnover or 2 or something like that, I believe. But I know a couple overthrows that were wide open touchdowns. I was a little concerned because we let SC stay in the game for a while. But I'm very happy for my Bruins. Now, Chip Kelly, yeah, he saved his job. There's no question about it. There's a lot of talk about him getting fired after the SC game. I think you can pretty much go 0-11 as long as you beat SC, your job is safe. And you beat them in that kind of fashion. I think if you beat your crosstown rival, you should be okay. That's the reason why Earl Cooper at Ohio State got fired. He was constantly, winning games, but he just couldn't beat Michigan.
Right.
And that's why he ended up losing his job. So, yeah, it'd be very difficult to fire Chip Kelly right now. We don't have Texas A&M type money, even though his buyout is nowhere near Jimbo Fisher's buyout. But we don't have that type of money. He just signed an extension, a 2-year extension, Chip Kelly, just in the offseason. So I find it very difficult. I would find it very improbable that he would lose his job. Even if we did lose the Cal, which I don't expect that we will lose the Cal. I think they'll finish out the season on a high note. There's just a lot of inconsistency in the play from week to week. They played Arizona State. They didn't play very good. The offense was very, very poor. So, but I look for Chip Kelly to keep his job. Not really excited about it. It doesn't really excite me, but what can you do?
Well, the only thing I'll add to this is it'll be interesting to see how USC and UCLA fare in the Big Ten when that thing called snow, freezing, rain, ice comes in.
You get that freezing rain up there in Washington. You saw Washington and Oregon. It was nasty up there.
Oh,
yeah. In Oregon, actually, that was in Oregon. That was nasty.
So what is the 2-pack gonna do?
they can
Seriously.
as
I
that.
think they're going to invite some teams in.
Yeah, that's
independent they can be.
Yeah, so they've been approved to run it as a 2-team conference for the next 2 seasons. And that allows them to try to attract talent. I have a hard time seeing them attracting a great, they're not going to get good schools, right? So that's why they keep talking about potentially merging with the Mountain West. And the problem with that is your best school is Boise State. Right? And then it drops way off from there. If college is still going to be the voting type of scenario that it is, now I understand that the playoffs get bigger, right? It becomes a 12-team playoff. So there's going to be a little more flexibility to it. But at the end of the day, even if they merged with that, you're not going to have strength of schedule. So you're going to have to get a lot of out of conference games, essentially do what Notre Dame does to try and get into things. So I don't know. Ultimately, I think it ends up going away.
Okay.
Yeah, which is sad.
Yeah, very sad.
It is.
They're playing good football out there this year. Oregon State's relevant. Washington State's been playing very good. Oregon,
very good, yeah.
Washington is very good. USC and UCLA started out on fire along with Colorado. There's a lot of good things going on. Arizona's playing real good.
Yep.
There's a lot of good football going on out there this year.
Yeah,
State, right?
Through over half of the season, 8 of the Pac-12 were ranked.
Right.
So it's sad to see it fall apart. But what do you do? What do you do? I actually really hope that Oregon State and Washington State end up joining Washington and Oregon because of the rivalry games, right? We're about to have the Apple Cup. This could be, after 114 of them, the last one.
No, they've signed up to play that game, I think, to 2026 to 2028.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
you knew they were going to throw them a bone, but ultimately it goes away. It's an 18-team conference, right? Like you knew initially.
Well, I would have liked for Cal and Stanford to be a part of the Big Ten as well, and bring in Oregon State and Washington State. But they're just looking at dollar signs. They're looking at that the market, and they're saying that's just a small media market. Why do we want that little media market? Not that Oregon's a big media market, but they're a big draw. Not that Washington's a big media market, but they're a big draw as well. I mean, they're big time programs. And Cal, I think with the academics, Cal and Stanford with the academics, I think they would have made a great fit in the Big Ten. But who am I?
Well, who are you? The fact is, they're in the ACC. All right, let's go to the chat room again. Getting busy. All right, Ralph Williams. Well, you definitely, if you didn't tune on earlier, we had your Pittsburgh topic of the night with Matt Canada. All right, now we'll continue to move through. Hello, everyone. The Back It Up Binge podcast. Well, welcome to the show. So, I don't know who they came from, but if you please send me a note. What's that?
That's from me. Yeah, that's on mine.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll have other shows on here where we can start, and I'm going to be doing a lot of soul searching over here. There might be some shows that we can incorporate your guys' people onto them, and I'll work on that. So, Back It Up Binge podcast. If you would kindly subscribe, Bo and I will we'll compile a list. Of the people, and then we'll bring them on a different show. Just 3 people, Bo, myself, and whoever his follower is. So, and that's out there for everybody that's watching and listening. All right, Patty Grind, boy, you're on a roll. Keep it up. Can't wait till USC and UCLA comes to Michigan in November. Patty, I have a feeling that great minds think alike, and you're not the only one. Okay, we keep it going. Stadium Rant, great points, Bo. Thanks for joining us, Stadium Rant. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, let's keep it going. Rant to win. Yeah, Patty. Look at this guy. All right, you guys are. This is a lot of fun here, talking to all these people. I wish just add Oregon State, Washington State, and be done with it. Yeah, it's a little. I don't know if I see that. Maybe if you get to 20 or 22,
that's the thing.
Maybe. There's going to be one big super conference. That's where we're headed.
Probably will. I could see the Big Ten poaching a couple schools out of the ACC down the road. I really have a gut feeling. I won't mention any particular names because I don't believe in speculation. That to me is a
like Clemson and Florida State. I mean, Clemson, yeah, Florida State.
Well, I mean, but I'm not stopping you from doing it.
They've already been rumored.
I mean, yeah, those schools want to leave already. Clemson.
Yeah, well, there you go. It could be possible that they could be in
Florida
there.
State, North Carolina State.
Of course, Florida State wants to get as far from Miami as they can.
But who's to say Miami wouldn't be a member of the Big Ten either? You never know.
Miami wants to join the SEC.
Right. I'll tell you what, though. The one thing I do know in my mind is that the Big Ten would love it to have a Florida school in here because they get a lot of talent here and the Sunshine State. I know.
Well, I mean, that's the only way they have left to expand. They've gone coast to coast now. They started out on the East Coast. Now they've gone to the West Coast. Now, what's left? South.
Yeah, there you go.
They've already pulled out of the rest of the Midwest.
It's true. All right, we'll go back to Brent DeWitt. Will they ever be done?
Yeah. You know what you're going to end up having? 3 Power 5 conferences and a whole bunch of Division II.
Yeah.
That's all that'll be left. You'll have the SEC. You'll have either the ACC or the Big 12 and the Big 10.
The NCAA is going to go away. They're going to have a big college football playoff, one big conference, and they'll have North Division, a South Division, an East, and a West Division. That's what it's going to be.
They're going to play normal football.
Some hedge fund is going to come in. They're going to buy. They're going to buy that whole thing, and they're going to put it all together.
It's going to be the owner of EA Sports, so they can do college football again.
I actually don't hate that.
All right, well, here.
I don't hate that either.
All right, well, All right, here we go again. Who wants to read this one?
Yep, they need to update their Big Ten commercial showing going coast to coast.
I mean,
Well, they
it's-
did update it already. They've got the Rose Bowl in there.
Yeah, the Pac-12 is still doing, Conference of Champions. We got
He's-
2 teams over
I
there.
know
What are you
what this
talking
guy's.
about?
I know what she's talking about. It's a very nice graphic that they do on the broadcast, but it does start with the Rose Bowl. But it does not. Hey, you're right though, Patty. It does not include yet Washington and Oregon. That's
Right.
true.
Well,
I mean, I mean, if you are Oregon State and Washington State, it's going to be really easy to be the conference champion.
I think it has the Rose Bowl on there because that was a game that if you're a Big Ten,
So
Big Ten
conference
champions,
play,
you would go to the Rose Bowl.
Right.
conference play is 9 games a year. So if you win 5, you're the conference champ, right?
I don't know. We'll
But
leave
you
it.
won one in division. Hey,
I'm just saying, conference play is 9 games a year. You do 3 out of conference games. You do 9 in conference games. That's what it's always been. So they can play 3 whoever they want, and then each other 9 times. You
Yeah,
flip a
but
coin. You flip a coin the first time, and that team is the home team, and then you flip which one gets the 5th home game every year.
All right, but Jeremy, here's what I heard, and you guys are free to correct me on this. At least in the Big Ten, everybody's going to have 1 or 2 on their teams on their schedule that they're going to be regular rivals, and then they'll be able to schedule accordingly. As I
Some teams don't have a natural rival. They don't know, like a Penn State. They don't have one.
No,
Nebraska.
but
And
most
Purdue's another.
likely, yeah, but most likely, if Penn State were to have one, they could be looking at one of 3. One would be obviously Maryland on the East Coast or Rutgers, and then the other one might be Michigan State. I see Michigan State and Penn State consider themselves rival, but we'll see. We could do a whole show on this topic.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
UCLA and USC, they're going to play each other every year. That's going to happen. Michigan,
Well,
Ohio State, they're playing each other every year.
Right.
Yeah, during the off season, as this thing winds down, we're probably going to devote an entire show to it. But
Michigan State and Michigan are going to play each other every year.
Indiana and Purdue are playing each other. Wisconsin and Minnesota are playing each other. Yeah, I've seen that list.
And also Indiana and Illinois play each other.
gosh,
Yeah.
man, I'll tell you, I love some of these comments. I got to roll with them. Hang in there, guys. We have topics and we have chat. Rutgers won't have any rivals.
At the closest,
Car is their only.
They came in with Maryland, so that's going to be their rival.
they have a rival.
Yeah.
It's their cheerleaders. Have you seen them?
No, I haven't
No
seen it.
comment. All right.
No,
Right.
I haven't.
It's not good. But anyway,
We'll go back to Patty here. Come on, Jeremy, calm down. Okay.
I have questions for the panel. Why did the SEC do 4 out of conference games?
It's the way they
That
have it
is a
set
great-
up. I mean,
it
there's
is
been
the
talk
way
about
they
doing
have
the
it.
9.
Right.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
They have it set up that way. And I think it's kind of ridiculous when you have a 2-division conference to have an even number of games, because you can end up with ties. And then it goes to a coin flip
True.
of the strength of schedule and what's your out of strict conference schedule. And those lower teams, they can't afford to pay. They try to look to get paid by a big team. If you look, a lot of the lower teams, they'll play a bigger team out of conference and have a stronger strength of schedule than some of the top teams, because the top team says, we'll throw you $1 million to come play
Well,
your
let me tell you.
Youngstown State.
Jeremy, that's a great point. We're having worked with Florida Atlantic University and spent lots of times at Howard Schnellenberger. That's how you keep your programs alive. That's how you get stadiums. That's how you finance them. So that's a great point. And I'm living proof with FAU, and of course the Miami Hurricanes being a bigger school, they guarantee. So I can take it both ways, either way. But that's a good point. I remember once upon a time FAU played at the old Lockhart Stadium, which has since been demolished, and they've turned it into Dry Peak Stadium, where Inter Miami's been playing. But with all due respect, they need to guarantee money to finance the athletic department. So It's a good point. And that's why you may have that extra out of conference game. Again, these are topics that we'll get to in more depth later. And believe it or not, this topic came from a simple UCLA USC game. And it's amazing how a certain topic can branch off a lot of ways. And the reason why I let it go is I like it because, number one, you see how many people have viewed it and given us some great things to follow up. So I think it's great. When we
Mhm.
can take a topic, it could go many different directions. So I think it's everybody in the chat room totally proud of you. Really, really am, and we're glad you're aboard. And once again, if you just joined us, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. And you can reach out to us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com, and we'll be more than happy to get you on a guest at some point or another. So with myself, Bo, or Jeremy, I have another show that all y'all can participate in. All right. Well, now that we've covered these topics about as thoroughly as a blanket you can do, we're going to have some fun with predictions. Okay. Don't have to make them long. Okay. But make sure you say what you want to say so we have room for our pals in the chat room to comment on them. Ohio State at Michigan. Jeremy, give me a prediction and a little explanation.
Well, without Coach Harbaugh on the sidelines, I think it's going to be a much closer game than we'll usually predict because both teams have great defenses, but both teams seem to be struggling with the passing game of late. The Ohio State quarterback's gotten better, and he has great wide receivers. Whereas Michigan, they have the little better quarterback, but not as good of wide receivers. So you're seeing them struggle. Both teams struggle in the passing game. I think you're going to see something like a 28-21 score, no matter who wins. But I want Michigan to be on top.
Fair enough. Okay, George.
Yeah, I'm very worried about this game. The signs I've seen for the last couple of weeks, like you mentioned, with JJ McCarthy's passing has not been pinpoint like it was earlier in the year. They're missing their leader. They're missing their man on the sidelines. I mean, say what you want about a head coach, but this is a man that every player has bought into, and every player looks up to him like it's their father. And it's just not the same when he's missing after a play, after even a mistake or miscue, or whatever he does to cheer somebody up or give them a rah rah. I mean, that's missing, and that hurts Michigan. That being said, this is not a perfect Ohio State team either by any stretch. You're right, Jeremy. That quarterback is not as experienced. Obviously, he's new this year. And so I'm going to just wrap up by saying real close. Michigan 31 and Ohio State 28.
All right, before I turn over to Mel, let's go back to the chat room. We have some numbers out there. We'll see if that impacts anybody's thinking. Patty Grimes is very generous, 38-21 Michigan. Okay. Now we have a guy that doesn't have to worry about any scores. He pretty much starts off in the next
That's my guy.
And screw Ohio State. Well, we know how he feels. And we have a familiar face. Probably joined Jeremy on a show or two. Hi, gentlemen. Give me Michigan 34-24, Will Vogel. All right. Great seeing you again, Will. All right.
Offensive
Ryan
line,
DeWitt. Offensive line will dominate for Michigan. Wolverines 27-20. And let's go to here's Patty. There we go. I want to see.
that's a good one.
Go ahead. You read it then.
I want to see the Big Ten commish hand Jim Harbaugh the Big Ten trophy after Big Ten conference game. Oh, yeah. You know that's going to go over like a lead balloon. It's kind of like Roger Goodell showing up at the Lions game last weekend. He got more boos from the fans than Jared Goff's bad play did.
Really?
Yeah, and all he did, Jeremy, was bring the draft to Detroit, huh? The fans really needed to boo him, huh?
They boo him every time
Ridiculous.
He comes out. I know.
Ridiculous.
I know.
All right. Well,
they always boo Goodell.
He gave Detroit a multi-million-dollar gift, and they boo the guy.
I mean, it's not his fault the team's been so lousy.
That's right.
That's not what they're booing him for.
What are they booing him for?
Making the game soft and turning it into the real NFL, the no fun league.
Well,
oh, come on.
No, that's what fans are upset about. They miss the big hits. They miss all that stuff. I hear about it all the time through all the chats everywhere, not just on my show or on this show. They miss the big hits. They miss the hit show that they used to do with Steve Sables Jr. when they would show all the nasty hits from the weekend. Like when the last great one was Zach Follett on special teams. Remember that? Where he made the guy do a 360 cartwheel in midair.
Let's get back to U of M at OSU.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, thanks, George. All right, Mel, give me your pick on that.
Well, I look at the two teams. Michigan won last year, and they won pretty handily, and they had a much better quarterback. If you look at what he's doing in the NFL this year. And I don't think this guy the guy they have there is near the quarterback that he is. So if you just look at it from that standpoint, I believe that Michigan will win this game and they'll win it pretty handily. I don't think, Ohio State, I mean, they should have lost to Notre Dame. They're a decent football team. I think they've gotten, been lucky, but I mean, they, they're going to find out who they really are this coming week. I'm not really a Day fan, I mean, his story is great. I mean, I like his story, respect him as a man and all that, but I'm just not a real fan of his. I guess I'm not a real fan of Ohio State. I guess that's what it really is. It really boils down to. So, yeah, I got Michigan winning this one. It'll be close, but I have Michigan winning.
All right, no problem. You want to give a score? You're all right with just Michigan?
No, I'm just okay with the W.
Yeah, that's okay. Bo?
Yeah, so I got Michigan here too. There's so many things that is kind of just helping rally this team at this point.
Right.
I think they win. I think it'll be a little bit closer just because of the distractions around it, but it'll still end up being, like 35-27. Besides, I feel like you kind of have to beat a school that has to spell out where they're from every time you talk about their school.
Or add, instead of saying they go, the Ohio State University.
That's right.
Yeah, one person started that, whoever that was.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. Let me give my prediction. I do believe that Michigan will win. I'm looking at a 33-26 type of score. That's what I'm looking at. All right. Three more games to get to. And I should point out on Thursday, there'll be a combined Fire Up show, Fire Up Wisconsin and Fire Up Michigan. Candy Ebling will be joined by Smoke and Jeremy before the game. So hope you can join us on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. Once again, if you haven't subscribed and you're new to us tonight, please do so. And anybody that subscribes to our different people will find a way to get you on a show sometime in 2023, depending on where you come from, whether it's Bo, Jeremy, and we'll create some space for you at some point or another. So they'll coordinate all that, and I'll just authorize it. All right, now we have the Green Bay Packers at Detroit Lions, 12:30 on Fox. Jeremy, you can go out there and issue a prediction now if you want to, or you're welcome to go out there and defer.
You know what? The Lions are going to feast on cheese again. Matt LaFraud has yet to win in 792 days. Was the last time the Packers won on September 20th, 2021. And that was with a Hall of Fame quarterback. And Jordan Love, yes, he shows flashes of brilliance here and there. He doesn't do it when he has pressure in his face.
Okay.
I think Lions are going to win 35-21.
Okay, let me go back to the comments. James Burgess, you go ahead and read that one, Jeremy.
The is an archaic Old English pronoun. However, I think the KJV called called Ohio State and sued for their pronoun back.
Yeah, I'm really not sure where to go with that, so I'm not going to do it.
Oh,
so let's go. So let's go to the scores. Patty Grimes, Lions 31-17. And let's go to Brian DeWitt, 34-17. And welcome to the broadcast, Vegas Benchwarmers. Okay, very good.
They're hot. They're really hot.
Yeah.
Four fires.
Yeah, if you want the Vegas Benchwarmers, you can always take it to the LA Chargers Benchwarmers called Hot Seat. Then you can add Brandon Staley to the mix. Okay.
There's not enough flames on there for his seat.
And that's
right.
All right, George.
Yeah, I don't see this game being close at all. I agree. Detroit is on a roll, 16-4 combined the last two seasons, 8-2 plus 8-2. And really, they didn't play a great game against the Bears. So let's just be honest. They're gonna whip up a grid scoring opportunity when they see one. I'm gonna go with Detroit 35, Green Bay 14.
Okay, Mel, you're up.
Yeah, I got the Lions. I think last week that was a little trap game last week at Chicago. I mean, it was sandwiched in between San Diego and Thanksgiving. I think they looked at it well. Justin Fields is coming back. He's not going to be ready to play. The record, they only won 3 games. I think they're not that good, and they didn't play very well. And I think what they did is they did something that they don't normally do is they won one of those ugly games, a game that they really should have lost. When you turn the ball over 4 times, you're supposed to lose. And they definitely should have lost rather. And they won an ugly game. Last year, Thanksgiving, it looks like they were going to win that game, and they end up losing a game that they definitely should have won when they played last year. I think and that kind of, that was one of those games that cost them an opportunity to go to the playoffs. I think they lost another one after that as well. But those games, that Thanksgiving game, they had it. And if they just, Jared Goff makes that throw, they win that game and they're in the playoffs. But I think that Coach Campbell will use this past performance as fuel for these guys, and they'll be ready to play. I mean, you can win 3 games within an 11-day span. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. And especially a divisional game, because a divisional game this time of year, I mean, those are like winning 2. So this is going to be a big game for them. And I look for them to, for us for a long time, being Lions fans, we had nothing else to look forward to other than Thanksgiving. We didn't have any postseason aspirations or anything in the postseason to look forward to. So Thanksgiving game was like the Super Bowl for the players and for the fans. And the guys have always, no matter who it is that you put out there, I mean, you could put out, whatever team you want to put out there, they were going to compete on Thanksgiving Day. So I look for them to do the same thing. I think Dan Campbell will have those guys ready to play.
So you want to issue a score?
I'll win. That's W.
All right, Bo, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so I think this is going to be interesting in the beginning, right? Like, it's a divisional game, and I think Green Bay will come ready to play. I think the first half, it'll probably be close, and then the Lions will stretch their legs in the second, end up winning 27-17.
Okay. All right, well, here's some facts going into that game. For the Detroit Lions, that's their first 8-2 records to start the season since 1962, which is the year, by the way, I was born. Okay. Now, also, the Lions have won 7 straight NFC North games. That's 7 straight. So here you go. That's their longest win streak against division opponents since the merger in 1970 per Lions PR. So that should really load you up with some facts. With that said, Lions 28-10. All right, let's go ahead and go back to the comments. All right, where were we? Let's see. We got
40-20.
Lions and sweep the Packers 40-20. All right, sees a lot of points. Above the ring.
Hey.
Wow. There you go. Nice to meet you.
Clapping hands.
Speaking of which, Mel, you mentioned that was a game they were supposed to lose.
They should have lost. No, they should have lost.
No. I mean, 9 times out of 10, a team with a double-digit lead that far into the fourth quarter, they win 99.9% of those games.
Okay.
Yeah, when you turn the ball over like that, you turn the ball over 4 times and you lose the time of possession the way that they did. I mean, Chicago had the ball for twice the amount of time that they had. When you don't control the game like that, you're supposed to go home with an L. Period.
Yep.
And somehow, some way, they toughed it out. They figured out a way to win that game. I mean, that's huge. That's huge.
Their 2-minute offense for Detroit was fantastic. That's what it amounted
they
to.
didn't quit.
And
Typically,
and the Bears sat on too many field goals. They did not take the chance of going into the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, typically, Lions of the past would have quit.
Yeah.
In that scenario, the Lions did something that KC couldn't do against the Broncos and the Bills couldn't do against the Jets, right? Which are also bad teams, but they turned the ball over a bunch of times, couldn't pull off the win. So, I mean, kudos to the Lions to be able to complete that comeback.
All right, James Burgess, second half package stuffing knocked out of them 30-16. Great analogy. All right.
I love it.
Thanksgiving. I'll tell you, you got some good people. Some great comments in there. I just like reading and watch you guys talk. All right. Let's move on to the Washington Commanders, 4-7 against the Dallas Cowboys. That's a 4:30 game on CBS. Well, I'm glad that Jerry Jones finally put Jimmy Johnson in the Cowboys Ring of Honor. Long overdue. Glad it's done. Okay. I said my piece about that. You guys get to make the predictions. Okay, Jeremy, give me a basic prediction. We have another 5 to 7 minutes left to go in the broadcast.
I think this might be the first true shutout of the season. Dallas wins 35-0.
Okay. All right, George.
Oh, give me a break, Jeremy. It's not going to be a shutout. And by the way, why are we doing 6 NFC teams on Thanksgiving Day? Why no AFC teams? I don't know. I'll have to ask your boy Roger Goodell.
Well, they
Yeah,
got some teams playing on Good Friday.
yeah,
Oh,
because
they do.
the
You're right. They
AFC
have
is
Black
doing Good
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Final
Black
score.
Friday. I'm sorry, Good
Okay,
Friday. Yeah,
Scott.
Black
I'll
Friday.
go with Cowboys winning 37-9.
Okay, Mel.
Yeah, I got the Cowboys winning this one too. Washington's not a good football team. Poor Ron Rivera. I mean, he just never had, he's never had a quarterback to hitch his wagon to. And when you don't have a quarterback, it's gonna be tough sledding in the NFL if you don't have somebody a quarterback out there. I don't care what level you're playing at, whether it's Pop Warner or high school, little league, whatever. If you don't have a guy at that position, it's gonna be tough. I feel sorry for him. Probably a good coach, but it's probably going to be it for him, to be honest with you, especially with the new regime coming in there. But I have Dallas winning. I don't think they'll, blow them out, but I think they'll win handily.
Okay, let's go back to the chat room. Boy, these predictions are great. Now we got the cowgirls. My goodness.
So
Was that from your side?
are they doing the Ring of Honor? Is it this week or was it in
Oh, it'll
December?
be on December 30th. I just wanted to make
It's
mention
the
of it.
game versus the Lions on
Yeah.
Saturday night.
Oh wow.
Oh,
The day
great!
after my
They needed some extra motivation, huh?
Yep.
I just the day after my birthday, but it's current news. I want to get it out there. All right, Brent, we definitely got to get you. I don't know what side you came from, Bo or Jeremy, but well, you got to get on here. Cowgirls 31-10. Well, it's not easy to keep a straight face with some of this stuff. Cowboys. Now I like Burgess. He ties all my lucky numbers in here. Okay, in case you didn't listen last week, my lucky number is 33, and then my second one is 333. So with that said, James Burgess, Cowboys getting served a feast 33-3. That's the best prediction of them all tonight. Very good, James. All right. So as far as I'm concerned with the Cowboys, Cowgirls, whatever you want to call them, it's not coming from me. It's coming from what's in the chat. I'll just say the Cowboys win 37-16.
Oh my.
Okay, we didn't hear Bo's prediction yet.
Yeah, I think it'll end up being 35-13, and only because there's some garbage time points at the end.
Okay, there you go, Bo. We're right in the same neighborhood. All right, and the final game on Thanksgiving night is the 49ers against the Seahawks. San Francisco 7-3. The Seahawks are 6-4. That's at 8:20. Okay, Jeremy.
San Francisco runs roughshod over Seattle. I don't see them having enough offensive firepower to fight back against that defense. Geno Smith, he got hurt last week. If you're seeing Drew Lockett, lock this in. The 49ers win by a bunch. Because Drew Lock shouldn't be a quarterback either. He has as much skill as Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle combined.
Oh boy.
I don't know how you really feel. Okay. All right, George, go ahead. We'll see if you can top this one.
Whoa. Oh, I don't know. I think it's going to be the best game out of the three. I really do. Brock Purdy is back. He had a couple of 2 or 3 bad games there in the middle of the season, but he's back. Obviously, they got more offense going, and obviously, healthy Geno Smith. But that being said, I'm still going to pick San Francisco to win only by 3. I'm going to go with San Francisco 27 and Seattle 24.
All right, back to the chat room. James Burgess, read this one, Jeremy.
Happy to chip in, he says with a laughy face.
Okay.
That's what that should be equal in emojis, but YouTube doesn't do emojis.
Oh, do they? Yeah, if I get a
and
few.
He goes, San Francisco offense is going to cook a non-existent bird called a Seahawk, 28-10.
Really?
Oh, he's colorful, very colorful.
Right, Jeremy, you're on a roll. You're going to read them all now.
Is Jonah Jackson on the last year of his contract? I'm worried about losing him, especially if we have to re-sign Goff and others. Well, number one, if you're going to talk that, Goff is under contract another year. You really don't have to do a damn thing with him. So is Amon-Ra. So is Aleem McNeil. So is everybody that was drafted in 2021. Jonah's contract's up. Who's the one that was drafted with him? Levi Onwuzurike. No, that wasn't even that year. That's the last of the Bob Quinn draft. So yeah, Will Harris. That's the other expiring contract. Goodbye. See ya. The guy that is burnt toast so bad he makes burnt toast look like Wonder Bread.
We'll start talking about my kid. I can tell you about a grilled cheese sandwich that I blew when I was in college, and I'd rather get into that story another time. All right, so well, no, now they have it out there. Many years ago when I was in college, I decided to make a grilled cheese sandwich in a microwave and put it in there 4 minutes. You could have broken a triple pane window, and you could have lost people along the way. And then I guarantee I never did it again. All right, I don't know.
Hockey Pucks got it. He didn't know if his comment came up. That's one of my guys, Devin Bynum. He's from Motor City Kneecap Biters, and he follows my show.
Very good. Okay, and the last one for now, Brent DeWitt.
Yep, Brent DeWitt. He says San Francisco over the Sea Chickens, 38-20.
God, getting some interesting names here. I couldn't even keep track of these. Thankfully, we have them archived. If I ever need some ideas for future sea chickens and all this other stuff.
Sea hags. I've heard the sea hags one too before. A lot of people call them.
All right, so who do I have? Who's left here?
Mel.
I get a little distracted with some of these incredible creative ones. Mel,
who picking between
San
the Seahawks
Francisco.
and the 49ers?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, 49ers, the Seahawks didn't look very good the last time I saw them. 49ers look pretty good defensively in particular. As much as I hate to say it, I'm going to have to go with the 49ers, to be honest with you.
Okay. And you,
Don't
Bo,
be afraid to say it. Don't be afraid.
So, this one's tough, right? Because I'm going to be at this game. So I really want my Seahawks to win. But I don't think they do. Sadly, with Geno banged up, the inability to play disciplined football, so they lead the league in penalties. They struggle in a lot of really important parts of the game. So I think they end up losing 28-21. I think they do cover this 6.5 point line that they have. So sadly, I'm probably going to go to a game where we don't get the dub. Although the weather is going to favor the Seahawks a little bit, it is going to be very cold. It'll probably be right around 30 degrees at game time.
It's going to be wet?
It won't be wet. It won't be wet. It's going to be dry and cold.
There's always wind in Seattle.
Oh, it'll be windy. Yeah, no, it'll be windy, especially in the stadium. It opens to the Puget Sound, so you get some swirling wind through the stadium, but it's just going to be cold. We don't have any rain coming in. But that being said, San Fran doesn't play in a lot of cold weather down there.
So are you leaning toward the Seahawks because you're leading with your heart this time? It's okay. We've all done
No. I have San Fran winning by a touchdown. I'm just saying I don't want that to happen. So for 3 hours, I am going to absolutely talk shit like a normal fan, and then I'll come back. I'll watch it like a normal analyst, and put my fandom away.
Okay, no problem. You know what? I got to go with the 49ers. I really do. They've got three of their better players back. We know Brock Purdy, but you've got, as long as Christian McCaffrey's doing well, Deebo Samuel, and you had George Kittle, and they had a few injuries that they're starting to get healed. There's no doubt I'm going to go with the 49ers. So, and now, just for all intents purposes, like George mentioned, okay, you also have a college game on Thursday night, Mississippi State against Ole Miss for the Egg Bowl. We're not going to predict that. I'm just letting you know. And George, like Mel alluded to, the Miami Dolphins are at New York to take on the Jets. So, while as we can tell that we have a lot of Thanksgiving is dominated by obviously NFC teams, you're going to have at least two AFC teams on Black Friday on Amazon Prime. So that should very much cover. So that does it for this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk.
Who is that? That's Baltimore and who? On the Friday game?
No, Miami and the Jets.
Oh, Miami wins.
As a longtime fan, I can relate 100%. All right. Well, I'll make sure we get all the comments in before we sign off. Everyone's important. They keep coming on before we call it a night. They will. With that said, Jeremy, I'll let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
Well, you can find me here wherever Scott needs me on the South Florida Tribune channel on YouTube. You can also find me on the SouthFloridaTribune.com under the Motor City Tribune heading, where I write about the NFL and mostly the Lions because I do a lot of game reviews and also game previews. And Michael Huck says Jets are starting Tim Boyle. Yes,
we are.
Tim Boyle is starting, just like for Seattle, Drew Lock is starting. It's the equivalent.
No, Gino's getting the start.
Is he G? Oh wow!
Gino's
I
getting
feel sorry for him because once that D line gets a hold of him, it'll be Drew Lock. But anyway,
Right, keep it going, Jeremy.
and then find me on my YouTube channel where I talk about pregame, postgame, the Lions fan cave chat, and of course the Wednesday NFL roundtable talk with Pick'ems. It's the kneecap biting with the Motor City Lions.
Okay, George.
You can find me also at the South Florida Tribune under the Motor City Tribune website, where I write a column. I also write locally here for the Downtown Monitor. And you can find me at 108 Stitches and Pigskin and all these wonderful shows, Sports Exchange and Pundit. And also reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com or on LinkedIn under my name, or else on Twitter at SandGSports99. Thanks.
And you have a book?
Oh yeah, I have a book. Yeah, just like Scott's got a book. I have a book that's a little bit older, and but it's Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. Thanks, Scott. There's a link to the book at the end of my column.
Okay, very good. All right, back to the chat room. Hooters House. I'll rewatch
Hatter's
the show
House
right now. Happy Thanksgiving, fellas. Glad to have you on. Hatter's House really is good. In fact, great to have every one of the people that participates at Chenswin. I leave it to Brent. Headline. I can't get it out, but that doesn't mean I don't mind putting it on there. All right, go ahead. No, these people are incredible in the chat room. I think it's a blast.
Okay, I can be found on all the social media at Melfar Jr., and you can follow what we have going on for the kids down here, as well as up in Detroit at melfar.org.
Okay, here's Bo.
Yeah, so you can find me at all of them as well at Football Talk with Bo, and of course right here on Tuesday nights, and on my channel at Football Talk at Football-Talk, and of course on Thursday and Friday mornings on Roku TV.
Very good. Okay, well, one last time on our end, just want to let everybody know that Inside the Pigskin being broadcast around the world, the audio version of Inside the Pigskin can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're looking to add more subscribers, and we appreciate the level of participation in the chat room. Also, please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? One way to do it is through the chat room if you're subscribed, and then you can reach out to us by sending your topic ideas to South Florida Tribune at gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. Our Twitter /X is at Tribune South. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes. My book is Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. So you can find that on Amazon as well as Kindle. What an incredible show we have. And I'm a man of my word. I'll continue to, before we sign off, put these on there, just looking to finally get a full game out of an X-Packer. Now, when you get comments like this, you have to just keep it going.
Oh, my goodness, that's great. I love it. But you got about a +5 tonight there, James.
Yeah,
he knows what
James,
I'm talking about.
You ever heard of Vanessa Williams? Save the best for last. You just fell into that Tim Boyle. Wow. All right, Devin, you've been great tonight too. So with that said, before I lose my voice, although it's already probably most of the way gone anyways, on behalf of my incredible crew tonight, Smoking Jeremy B., George Eichhorn, Melfar Jr., and Bo Crouch, my name is Scott Morgan Roth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Inside the Pigskin, and we look forward to catching you on the next episode. Everybody, all we want to do is tell you to take care and have yourself a wonderful Thanksgiving, and thanks for joining us tonight. Good night now.